4th in the first lap of this race so far. So 1 lap completed. John D. Allen has a lead of 1.3 seconds. That's handy, but not quite enough to break the toe to Bradley Daly, John Hurley, Simon Foweather, and your championship leader, Alex Albert, behind, especially this long run from turn 1 here up through the S's, which are absolutely flat in a car like this. And then the run towards the inner loop. It's a long, flat-out run with a bit of uphill, and that's what makes the slipstream and that toe so powerful here. John D. Allen still with 1.2 seconds in hand. Alex Albert's going to try and go around... Shane Cameron again. Team liveries there. But Lawson, Shane Cameron, Kevin Binkley, Christopher Flamion there. Too wide towards the inner loop. Going around the outside on the way in there. Tough to do, but I think Shane Cameron has just about pulled it off. Very, very brave there.
Yeah, and you mentioned Alex Albert, and he had a moment going through that chicane. He was falling right behind Simon Foweather, I think trying to bump draft him down the straight, and nearly killed him on the way into the chicane. It's going to be an easy thing to do in this car, especially with how close you have to run to get that good push going. As we see just ahead of him, John Hurley runs a little bit wide and loses some time there. Another easy thing to do in these momentum cars.
Yeah, indeed. Track like this, having some buddies around you, being able to trust the people you're racing with might be critical, because this early in the race, if you're, having to go door to door with everyone the whole time, you'll end up losing out. You'll be dropping back from the pack that's breaking away and find yourself in a difficult position potentially.
Yeah, and our fifth place starter, Kevin Binkley, has run into a little bit of trouble off that first lap. He's dropped all the way back down to 10th place and is trying to make his way through this crowd ahead of him. He's got to be unhappy after that strong qualifying effort, though.
Another lap about to be completed, and the lead for John D. Allen now 1.7, nearly 2 seconds now. There's problems for Bradley Daly. He's off in the grass there, and that helps John D. Allen even more. He's lead now almost 2 seconds. That's absolutely what he needed at the start of this race, but not what Bradley Daly needed.
Oh, and it's easy to do. Bradley Daly runs a little bit wide on the exit of the last corner, clips the outside wall with his tire, his rear tire, and a toe adjustment at 110 miles an hour is an easy way to make your car not handle so good for the rest of the race. We'll see if he has to come in early and deal with that.
Possible to salvage from that, because everyone is going to need a trip down the pit lane today. Fixed setup, everyone's got the same suspension and starting amount of fuel in this race, and that's going to require everyone at some point in our 60 minutes come onto pit lane to get a bit more fuel to get to the end. Some drivers are going to take that opportunity for new tires as well, and we wait and see what the preferred strategy might be, but certainly compared to some of the other circuits we've raced at with this car in this season so far, Watkins Glen, I think, is a little bit thirstier, a little bit more time spent at wide open throttle.
Yeah, I was hearing some pretty substantial debate from the drivers about whether the tires would be worth it. I think you lose a little bit taking them, even though you are taking on more fuel than usual. But they were also reporting, and we were noticing some drop off on the scrub tires after the pit stop. So it'll be an interesting choice for some of these guys when we get to the pit stop.
Let's talk about that weather though, because it is a partly cloudy day today, and well, it was mostly sunny at the start, mostly sunny through qualifying. Definitely a bit of cloud cover right now. That cools the track off. That increases the fuel consumption, but it also increases the pace of this race as well. So that's something to keep in mind. And tire conservation, not quite as important when the track is a little cooler. State of the race though, as they're about to complete lap 3, start lap 4. John D. Allen still with approaching 3 seconds in hand to set his personal best lap. Behind that, John Hurley leads the pursuing pack of 5 cars there. Hurley, Foweather, Albert, Hall, Max Lupfer, and Bradley Daly. That's actually 6 cars in pursuit. Those guys all staying in a line, but even together, they're not as fast as John D. Allen. In fact, they were about 8/10 off his pace last time around. I think this is exactly how John D. Allen wants to play this one.
Yeah, and the thing about momentum cars, I mean, the draft is important, yes, and up this hill, they'll be loving every second of it. But once you get it into the corners, it can be really easy to miss your line because they're so close to the guy in front, or have the guy in front of you make a little mistake and you have to check up, and all that momentum that you gained up the straightaway is gone. John Hurley looks like he's had a bit of a moment through turn 1, because now he's got Simon Foweather and Alex Albert lining up beside him. Looks like they're going 3 wide. Alex Albert's going to take the middle.
Yeah, so Albert's managed to break away from the rest of these guys, and it looks like that might have been a problem there from Hurley. So suddenly our pack of 6 cars all in a line starts to break up a little bit. Albert getting clear. We'll see if he can continue to break away. It's Foweather up into 3rd. Hurley in his red and black in 4th there. Justin Hall with the sort of retro throwback HJ livery helps him stand out in front of Lutfer and Daly. Daly trying to get back up after a great qualifying. And now sees him currently running in 6th. He's dropped a couple spots since the start. He's not out of it yet, though, because he can still have a good strategy and he can still pick off a lot of these positions that are immediately in front of him. Still 51 minutes of racing to go.
Yeah, and it's kind of a whole bunch of our points guys that are just outside the top 5. Justin Hall, Bradley Daly, and Max Lufa, of course, all in that top 10 contention in the points.
There's another pack behind that, and this is probably going to be the story of the race at a track like this. There's a pack being led from 8th place at Sean Saputra in the Love Racing colours. They're maybe going to go 3 wide there as Shane Cameron's challenging for it, and Kevin Binkley got a fantastic run out of the final corner. We're seeing up and down the track of our grid of more than 50 cars, quite a few just 6-7 car packs as they sort of clump together in this racing.
Yeah, but Michael Lawson showed us the risks of going 3 wide, because as Shane Cameron, Kevin Binkley, and Sean Spucher were all trying that experiment out into turn 1, Max Lawson rolled up behind him in that nice big draft they were punching and passed 2 out of the 3 into turn number 1, setting his sights now forwards onto Sean Saputra.
Yeah, Saputra is someone we've seen racing in the longer format special events as well, and we've got a Watkins Glen 7 hours coming up this Saturday. Sign-up's still open for that one. Looking forward to the broadcast on that, but he's certainly someone who's been putting in the hours on the sim, getting the practice. Certainly showing he's running at 8th right now. He qualified 19th. He's clearly got his head on his shoulders in this pack racing and not taking too many risks, and it's helping for him at the moment. So he's in 8th, and with Lawson right with him there as well.
Yeah, and I recognize the name from... oh, no.
Oh, I've put the Mickey on him there. He might have had a bad downshift. There's smoke pouring out the back of the car, and he's dropping backwards. That is a real shame. Engine troubles there for Sean Saputra. That's easy to do on some of these downshifts. If you're going from 4th to 3rd too early, too eagerly, put too many revs through the engine, and they don't like that at all.
Oof. Yeah, and that looks like just a 5-3. You know, you aim for 5 and you end up in 3, and it's gone. But as I was saying, Sean had put together a respectable start of that race, and I expect we'll be seeing him back this weekend, right?
I do believe that Love Racing have an entry. Looks like they're going to be driving the Mustang this coming weekend. That's probably also a great car for this circuit because it's not overburdened with grip, but it does have a V8 underneath it, which is great for a track like this. So I imagine if we're going to see Love Racing again, we're probably going to see Sean Saputra again. I haven't memorized the entry list on that one, That one's going to be broadcast on ChampCar Live and all of the ChampCar channels as well, which is fantastic. But with the racing we're at right now in the year-long, slightly more sprint format series, John D. Allen, no one seems to have at all a match for the kind of pace he's got. He's been putting in 2:16s consistently. Alex Albert in second hasn't been able to break away from those pursuing cars who closed him up on the last lap, but they're all in the 18s and 17s, and John D. Allen's shortly going to have a 5-second lead over all of those cars battling for second.
Yeah, but we've seen Alex Albert come back from deficits bigger than this, so we'll have to keep checking back in on that gap as this race continues.
Yeah, never say never, but he pushed a little wide of the apex in the laces, heading down towards the toe of the boot. Bradley Daly and Max Lupfer are going to battle behind there. Daly has the inside into the toe. Lupfer has to go around the outside. Again, they've got to be careful they don't fall off the back of this train, because if you're in 7th, you're only a second behind second place. You have a good pit stop. You are right in contention for a podium still. But if you're fighting too hard over 6th and 7th and you fall away from this train, then suddenly you are quite far away from the podium. I think before the pit stops, you just want to stick with this pack. It's no sense fighting too hard over crumbs and losing sight of the big picture.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing with these cars is just the management piece of it. It's really easy to slide them around and put in one fast lap, but you get those tires overheated, and these cars really punish you for that. And I think we're seeing that a little bit from some of these guys in this chase pack. Really diving on each other into these corners is starting to cost them outright pace.
Lupfer and Daly are side by side again, and Lupfer grabs the position away from Daly, but they are now more than a second off the back of Justin Hall, so that might be how this happens for them. We did see there might be damage though for Bradley Daly that he might be nursing. Again, if that's the case, he just needs to stay on the back of this pack.
It's so tempting though to try and drive by the guy ahead of you when you feel like you've got that extra bit of pace, and it's always so surprising somehow that it was just draft the whole time, right?
Yeah, how about the next pack behind though, because Lawson and Paul T. Roddy have just come together. Lawson is in the fence. He's going to collect potentially that's Shane Cameron. The exit of the S's.
Oh no.
5-6 cars involved there, spewed everywhere. You come up the hill, that's a blind corner, and that is a big accident.
Oh wow, and we are still losing more. James Wolax just rolled it. We've got, I don't even know who that is. Scott Grinnell pirouetting down the straightaway. Oh man, that's the end of a lot of races right there.
Far too early for that kind of stuff, isn't it? But you see that quite often here at Watkins Glen. It's narrow there between the Armco. You come up the hill, you can't immediately see what's around there, and the temptation at a fast part of the track like that is always to believe that you can keep the foot pinned and make it through the wreck. But as we've seen, nearly 10 cars there could not do so.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm watching this replay back, and I'm going to have to put the blame on Paul T. Roddy for that one. He looked like he had a pretty big run on Michael Lawson and just tagged him on the left rear and sent him spinning, bouncing off the walls and collecting all those cars. So an unfortunate result for everyone else, but Paul T. Roddy's managed to drive away with only a wrinkled fender.
Was at the lead of the race. John D. Allen has pulled off and called for a tow truck. I don't know, did he have the same problems with gear shifts maybe blowing a motor? I'm not able to see precisely what happened, but leaving the laces, John D. Allen pulling over to the side of the track, and that changes everything.
Yeah, and I'm riding on board with him. He turns into the corner and just doesn't seem to have any go on the exit of it. I wonder if maybe I'm not seeing any damage on the nose, but he may have overheated it.
I'm not sure what has happened there, and I'm sure we might get word later on. That is a real shame, because John D. Allen was rapid, pulling away in the lead of this race, and that has, well, changed it. Now Simon Foweather is in the lead of the race with Alex Albert right behind him. John Hurley, Justin Hall, and Max Lupfer, you can hardly tell them apart as they're bumper to bumper in a bit of a centipede there. Now the race for the lead is well and truly back on, because first through to fifth is 1.5 seconds. Bradley Daly in sixth. A lot of damage, a lot of scrapes and scuffs on the left-hand side of his car. Might have dropped out of this one. He's not quite close enough to be picking up the draft anymore, and that's a real shame for him. He's dropping back slightly. Hall and Lupfer are going to go side by side up through the S's, though, Devon.
Yeah, and I'm just enjoying the ride. All of a sudden, our one-car runaway has turned into a five-car battle, so this promises to give us some exciting YouTube content for the rest of the race here.
So, from 11th on the grid, Simon Foweather is now leading this race. He's got Alex Albert right with him in second. Some of those other packs we had that we mentioned, a lot of close racing, have lost from that accident we saw at the exit of the S's earlier. So the second pack after lost quite a lot of cars, really split the field up a bit there, but there is still some 3-4 car battles around.
Yeah, and if they keep battling in those 3-4 car groups, they'll gather up all together. As we actually just see Alex Albert tag that tire wall on the exit for the last corner there. Hopefully he hasn't bent anything there, but easy enough to do as he shows as he heads out and gets passed by John Hurley into turn one. And, it looks like Max Lupfer might take his run as well if John Hurley gives him this nice draft.
Well, this looks good for Simon Foweather as they're 2x2 immediately behind him. This might be his opportunity to break away just like John D. Allen did earlier. For second there, John Hurley has definitely grabbed it. Max Lupfer is then going to look for the inside of the bus stop. And I think he's done it. Very sideways, sliding the car all sorts through there. He grabs second place. Hurley in third. Alex Albert in fourth. Justin Hall in fifth.
And sideways is how these cars like to go fast.
Certainly through a very committed section of track like that, quite bumpy across the curbs as well. So it is one way to go fast through there. If you do it every single lap with the tail hanging out, how will those tires last is kind of the question we were asking earlier.
Yeah, and I'm interested actually to see this weekend's race, how the Jetta is going to handle its way through there, because that thing is notoriously bad over the bumps. And I haven't gotten into any of the practice sessions to see how those guys are handling that yet.
No shortage of talk for going up the S's though, but certainly bouncing across the curbs, you can get one of the inside front tires bouncing in the air very, very easily indeed. Foweather at this point has maybe 8 or 9 tenths in hand, I think, for the lead. Not yet enough to break away from Max Lupfer. No, it's closer to 1.3 seconds, so that is right where he needs. He needs a handful of good corners here. Maybe a mistake from Lupfer, and then Simon Foweather might be the person able to break away in the lead. 20 minutes done. You could take your pit stop now if you wanted. Prevailing strategies are typically either go to halfway in the race and then make your pit stop there, split it evenly in two, or go as long as the fuel will take you, which we think will be past the halfway point, but maybe not by much.
Yeah, it'll be right around there. It really depends on how much they manage to save in the draft. And that's something that we also haven't really talked about here is, Alex Albert and some of these other guys, John Hurley qualified in third, Alex Albert in fourth. These are pretty experienced guys. And I wonder if they're saying, hey, I don't want to be in first right now. I want to ride right behind you and make my pit stop 3 seconds, 4 seconds faster than yours because I got to put in half a gallon less fuel or a gallon less fuel.
That's been a strategy, particularly with some of the other cars that need a bit more fuel. The street stock that we've seen at some of the rounds this year, for example, very thirsty, doesn't fill particularly quickly. The fuel saving strategy with a shorter pit stop has absolutely been the way to go with these cars. Not quite as thirsty, but still, if you can't break away in a pack like this, then maybe just having a 2-second shorter pit stop could be all the difference.
Yeah, and if the street stock fills itself up using a straw, like a bendy straw, I'm thinking these things might use those like coffee stir sticks because they're pretty slow to fill as well.
So, man who led from pole position for several laps and had to pull over, John DeAllen, is back on track. And he is he's setting some laps, but he is well out of it now.
We'll have to reach out and see if we can find out what happened to that crew over there. Maybe I'll make a run down to the pit lane.
He's currently in 30th place. And what am I seeing? Does look like John DeAllen is still on the lead lap of the race. Maybe a minute 20 or so away from the lead. So that is not an absolute catastrophe, but certainly a big fall from where he was at leading this race with 5 seconds or so in hand.
Well, my fact-finding mission was not successful. Still no idea, but we'll see if we can get someone to give us some insight on why John DeAllen suddenly had to depart like that.
Paul Roddy on pit road. He was running very well.
Yeah, and then actually, if you take a look just ahead of him, that is his teammate Chris Nicely in the pizza-themed livery ahead of him. And it looks like Roddy's going with the tire strategy. So I think that he's planning to go for the long haul. I don't think he'll have another stop today.
No, certainly anyone stopping right now is going to be able to get to the end.
It's also possible that this race, the pace lap takes 4 or 5 minutes, and I wonder if Paul Roddy's taken a look at that clock and gone, okay, we're 30 minutes in, time for the stop, forgetting, of course, that our first lap was a few extra minutes long behind the pace car.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe he had a bit of damage he wanted to get rid of as well at that point.
Well, Simon Fullweather's lead seems to have deteriorated, hey? With Max
looks like
Luther.
Max Luther has gone and grabbed that lead, but John Hurley, Alex Albert, Justin Hall right in there as well.
And just ahead of them, Gilberto Pinzon, lap traffic, waiting to cause some chaos.
Well, we'll see. As is always the case, some accidents and a big grid means traffic will play a little bit of a part. Not quite how Max Luther would have wanted it, but he's going to go to the right-hand side, and I think the whole lead pack here is going to slip on through. So they're dropping back a spot. Hurley grabs one away, so Luther leads. Alex Albert's going to look to the inside of turn 1.
That's
on Foweather there, and he does get 3rd place.
Really great, clean move, just nice run, a little bit of draft, slides it up the inside, plenty of space between the two of them, all the way through the corner. That's what you like to see.
Bradley Daly pits from 6th place. He had a lot of damage on that car, and he gets that fixed now in his pit stop. He's also going to go for tyres. They change one side and then the other here, and we are seeing quite a few drivers on pit lane at this point. This could be important for Bradley Daly because it did look like that damage was holding him back. If he comes out of this pit stop, lays in some quick laps, and the lead cars start to shuffle amongst each other, he could be right back in it for the top 5 again.
Well, as promised, the lead cars have just shuffled. Max Luther ran hecka wide on that on the exit of the chicane there, and he's let John Hurley sneak by. Oh, they're going too wide in the ankle. Oh.
Yeah, through the laces, Luther has the lead. John Hurley in 2nd. Alex Albert looking for a way around. It's very busy on pit lane, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see any of these top 5 guys on pit road at the end of this lap. That might be, well, you kind of want to be the first person onto pit road from the pack, so you want to be leading this one if you can. Maybe that's why they're a little more elbows out all of a sudden when they've spent maybe 30 minutes being quite considerate to each other.
I'm just looking at the front ends of these cars as they dive down into this turn here, and I'm seeing a little bit of damage on the nose of Alex Albert's car on the front left-hand side. I'm wondering if that's what's been kind of holding him back a little bit.
Well, final 2 corners for the lead pack. We'll see if anyone dives on a pit road, because it's just about only these top 6, or about the top 10 that haven't pitted. Majority of our field has at this point. A lot of cars pitting last lap, but these cars have been in a pack together, drafting off each other all race. I'm going to have just one taker, Simon Foweather, on the lane. The other cars carry on, so maybe we'll only see this from them. There's a couple cars that are just leaving pit road now that are going to go a lap down. This could also be key for our leaders, is that they've managed to jump some of that traffic.
Yeah, if you're in the front, you definitely don't want to be pitting early if you can avoid it, just to avoid getting put back out into a field of traffic that's a little bit slower than you. Simon Foweather and Bradley Daly, it'll be interesting to see if those 2 early pitters are able to connect with each other after that stop from both of them.
Side by side to the inner loop. Max Lupfer breaks later, so he holds on to the lead. John Hurley with the full Dangers Out livery. And John Hurley with second there, so Alex Albert still amongst it. These guys, if they go another lap longer than this, they're certainly bucking the trend of the rest of the field.
Yeah, I'll be impressed. And I noticed that Justin Hall's kind of dropped off the back of this one too, so I wonder if he's realized that he's got to make it all the way back to the pit lane.
Certainly put a dampener on your race if you ran out of fuel because you kept it out just a little too long. So with pit stops, with incidents, it's now 3 cars for the lead of the race at the moment. We are expecting our leaders to pit this time, most likely.
Ooh, Max Lufa gets a little wide, puts 2 tires out on the grass. Doesn't look like he loses too much time though. And might just be a little bit of absent thought as he's focusing on getting the right line for the pits this time by. We'll see if that's the case.
Certainly is. Lufa's going to be on the lane, so he gets down to the apex there and then looks for that those cones that mark the start of the pit speed, and our top 4 follow them in as well. So Lufa on the lane, Hurley, Albert, Justin Hall on the lane. Means the only cars yet to pit are Nicholas Love and Chris Flammy, and I imagine we might see them this time as well. They're going to go side by side in the pit lane. Why not? Alex Albert to the inside of John Hurley as they look for their crews, look for their pit boxes.
Yeah, I think Alex Albert was banking on maybe the cars having gone into non-contact mode already, but they hadn't, and there's a couple little taps there. Didn't look like anything too egregious to me, though, and then I'll get a fast repair here, so it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, so it's fuel for all of our competitors, and I can definitely see all 4 tyres changed for Alex Albert and Justin Hall. Might be a possible strategy to only change those left sides around a circuit like this, but with the amount of fuel they need, appears like everyone is going to take all 4. Alex Albert is going to lead them off the lane, race on the pit exit. Justin Hall is going to get ahead of John Hurley, and I think Max Lupfer led them onto the lane and is actually going to trail. Yeah, he's going to trail after those pit stops. So the amount of fuel and that pit stop time, quite important. Bradley Daly's right in the mix of them as well. It's great to see him back in this battle.
Yeah, and he's got a big smile on his face too, I'm sure about that. Now, let me just say I'm getting some data in here. Simon Fullweather, 29 seconds, almost 30 seconds worth of fuel. Max Lufa, 31.5 seconds worth of fuel. John Hurley, 29. Alex Albert, 27.5. So he's clearly done some very tight fuel calculations, and we'll see if that pays off for him. Maybe he was able to save a little bit more than everyone else during that first stint.
Well, I don't think he led many laps in the first half of the race. That was sort of people like Foweather and John D. Allen doing that. He was certainly just staying in the pack, making sure he didn't lose them, and presumably saving fuel while he did so. So we shake out from the pit stops. Everyone in the field has made their stop now, and Albert is leading from Justin Hall, from Bradley Daly, then John Hurley, then Max Lupfer, then Simon Foweather.
And I'll just take a minute to mention, you remember John D. Allen from the start of the race? Well, he's all the way back up to 10th place now after that earlier unexplained stop on the track. Looks like he got back to the pits, took his fuel and tires, and then came right back into the race.
So maybe he would have lost more time if no one else needed to pit, but because of when that happened, he only lost the tow truck time, not the also pit lane time as well. So that's interesting. We'll see where he is later in the race, but as they're going to come across the line for first time after those pit stops, that's going to give us the updated official gaps. Alex Albert's got 1.3 seconds over Justin Hall, who has 1.4 seconds over Bradley Daly, so it's just close enough that these guys are going to struggle to break away unless John Hurley and Bradley Daly start fighting hard here over third.
Yeah, right on the edge of that draft range, and I think really it will have come down to who got the best run off of turn number one. And unfortunately for Alex, it looks like that might have been Justin Hall, because he's certainly not losing any time to Alex Albert as they head down the straight here towards the chicane.
Looks like Justin Hall definitely picked up a couple tenths of a second up the hill through the S's. But you pick up time in the tow everywhere, between the toe of the boot and the heel, and on the pit straight, and almost everywhere you're in fourth gear or above, it matters. It's just the S's where it's most prominent. I'm seeing John Hurley has to defend a bit from Max Lupfer here in fourth and fifth. Hurley gets in deep. Lupfer throws the nose in underneath at the laces, and they are door to door, then heading towards the toe of the boot, which is what you want to see if you're Bradley Daly, trying to not lose touch of the lead pack. John Hurley held firm for the inside there at the toe of the boot, though no position gained for Max Lupfer.
And almost touched Max Lupfer there, but either way, it looks like the two of them actually got great runs out of that corner. And John Hurley's going to make a move up the inside of Bradley Daly here, playing that position. I wonder if Bradley Daly's got some fuel saving to do after spending most of his run with a bit of damage and no drafting partner. As they're getting awkward three wide there, no one seems to be ready to go.
Yeah, indeed. Well, this is great for first and second place as the rest of these guys fiddle around. So then it's Hurley leads Lupfer, leads Daly, and Simon Foweather right with them again as well. He's looked quick. Maybe the pit stops didn't work out for him, but he's with third, fourth, fifth, and sixth now. And first and second, Justin Hall is catching Alex Albert.
Yeah, and just ahead of the two of them, they've got James Wolak with a bent-up looking car a lap down. Looks like he's gotten involved in some unfortunate stuff. But depending on where they catch him, especially if Alex gets past him on the back straight here before Justin does, and if Alex can get ahead of him before the chicane and Justin doesn't, it'd be interesting to see how that might play a part. Looks like both of them might have the speed to clear him, though, before that chicane. We'll see. Neither. Oh, Alex wants it. He's saying, please let me by, but unfortunately he's not quite close enough, and he's going to give up a buck at a time back to Justin Hall. And we have a race for first and second again. Ooh, and Alex is not going to be happy. How about that move into the big outer loop there?
Yep, through the carousel, a bucket of time indeed lost by Alex Albert. Same for Justin Hall, but about the guys behind, they were just not quite close enough yet to have made advantage of it.
Yeah,
A lot of time lost by Bradley Daly on that lap, I think.
yeah, not to mention John Hurley and Simon Foweather spending all their time side by side. Can't be helping out the cause one bit, that's for sure.
It was a great opportunity for them to close in on the lead, and they sort of tripped over each other a little bit there. But first and second is close then.
Yeah, and if Max Lufa can make a clean move on our lapper here, he might be able to get within striking distance of the lead too, because he's broken away from that second little group that had formed up. And he does get a pretty clean pass, so we'll see. Wonder if Justin Hall and Alex Albert are, waving the choo-choo train hands at each other, saying, draft, follow me, bump me, keep us away. 20-some minutes to go.
Yep, so as we said, everyone made their pit stops now. Outside of the top 10, John D. Allen's back into 10th. A lot of familiar names: Paul Roddy, Nicholas Love, Sean Saputra is back in 14th. Jay Safianek in 16th. Normally he's quite a bit quicker than that, is he not? So that's interesting to see a name like that there.
He's a bit of a specialist, I feel like, in that street stock. We really see him at the front in that car, but haven't seen him do quite as well in the NCs, I feel like. And of course, for folks who are joining us for the first time tonight, we're racing the NC Miatas, which is one of the 3 cars that features in the series. We also race the street stock, as well as the Solstice, right?
Yeah, correct. Pontiac Solstice for some of the slower, more technical circuits. We had that at Charlotte Roval, where we run all of the chicanes in the infield. We got the street stock for some of the bigger rovals like Daytona and Auto Club, and then the Miata for some of those sort of in-between circuits like this. I think we have it at Road Atlanta as well.
And while I was rambling on about the Solstice and the street stock, it looks like Justin Hall's actually taking the lead from Alex Albert. Got a nice run up the back straight and into the chicane, and he was able to get past Alex. It looks like Alex might have given him the spot just to keep in line and keep that gap alive back to Max Lufa.
Yeah, potentially those two running very closely together.
That does make you wonder a little bit about Alex's pace, though. I'm not sure he's got the 10/10 pace that the other guys do in today's combination. He just didn't seem to quite have it in qualifying like he usually does.
Yeah, we'll see. They've definitely got to worry still about Max Lutfer in third. He can see them very easily down the pit straight. The guys in fourth are still, a bit further back battling against each other. So it's certainly possible Max Lutfer could still catch these guys.
And you can see as you ride along with him, just those 2 little Miatas, maybe 1 depending on when you see them, just peeking over the horizon, and they are glued nose to tail, taking maximum advantage of that draft. And Max Lutfer is feeling all alone out here, driving up the back straight, wishing he had someone to ride along with, I'm sure.
Yeah, 2 Miatas wearing a trench coat for the lead. But it is 2.5 seconds back from Albert to Max Lutfer, and he really, really needs that to be 1.5 seconds. We genuinely find that 1.5 seconds point is about where you start picking up the toe. 2 seconds, nope. 1 second, you're definitely in it. 1.5 is about the edge of that bubble. While Lutfer was faster than Alex Albert on the last lap, only just by a couple of tenths, and he needs to do that laps in a row before he's going to close in and fight for the lead with these guys.
Yep. And you know what? I was just going back through the points and checking out sort of where everyone is shaking out. Of course, Max Lufa in seventh place, I believe, in the points right now. Um, but I noticed that our other top five competitor, Kevin Binkley, it looks like after all that happened, getting caught up in that accident, he's fallen all the way back down to 19th place. Um, so that's a real shame for him. But it is great news for Alex Albert, who's looking like he might have locked this series up, depending on how these next few races go. And assuming, of course, he manages to hold this position to the end of the race.
Yep, indeed. So we'll take a chance to run down the field a little bit, look at some of the packs we've still got, like fourth and fifth, where Hurley and Daly are they working together or are they fighting each other? The lap times would suggest they've maybe been fighting each other a little bit for fourth there.
Yeah, it seems like Bradley's been reluctant to give John Hurley the push that he wants.
We've got Andrew Archer and Matthew Thompson there in seventh and eighth. Good run for those guys.
Yeah, and Ella's our
Archer
man.
representing my people.
Of course. And I didn't get a Canadian out here this week to challenge you. Shame. Anyways, right behind them, they have Elazar Mann, who's actually from the Virginias. And he's also looking like our hard charge of the race right now. He's gained 22 positions since the start of the race, coming from 34th all the way up to 12th. So it shows you what a little bit of clean living will do in Solstice, or sorry, in a Miata race like this.
Certainly. Also got Nicholas Love and Paul Roddy battling each other towards the inner loop at the moment. Nick Love is going to hold on to that one for the moment. It's looking pretty good. He put together a track guide for this circuit that's on his YouTube. So he's clearly put in some laps here. Hopefully that pays off. He's going to be driving the Ford Mustang this weekend for the ChampCar iRacing special event, 7 hours of Watkins Glen. So not as much horsepower for him in the Miata, but I'm sure seat time is seat time in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You learn every single little crease and wrinkle and bump on the track, and it's going to transfer to whatever car you decide to get in. Though I'm willing to bet that the Miata's handling a little bit better than Mustang. It was the leaders have to take evasive action there. Both of them dodging Peter Monin, who looks like he might have either had a moment or run out of fuel. Yeah, having a hard time turning right. I think that he's had a moment, and it hasn't
Might have loaded the
moment.
NASCAR setup.
Yeah. You always want to make sure you load the road setup when you get up to the road course.
Looking at how Peter Monin picked up that damage, Devon.
Yeah, and it looks like he's just lost it coming out of the corner. It's easy enough to do. Get a little bit wide and we'll get a little bit loose in the middle of the corner and put it into a wall. High speeds and slippery cars.
Yeah, you ask any Champ Car racer, the Armco's not cheap around here. It's a lot cheaper on iRacing, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and that's why so many guys seem to love this. We've had such great turnout for the CCIS this year, and so many people participating in the special events, the big endurance races on the weekend, and of course on the weekday one like this on a Wednesday, all the drivers are competing for big money in the form of the free entry for the first place in the championship, and another entry being offered to a random draw during the season. But in the weekends, well, there's been no prize associated with that so far, and we still have full fields and lots of guys coming out and teams putting in lots of effort, and all for pride and glory. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Trophies be damned. I just want to be faster than the guys beside me.
Well, it is getting close at the lead of the field, though, because Alex Albert had a bit of a wiggle through the inner loop this time. Max Lutfer got it absolutely perfect and is now 1.3 seconds behind the rear bumper of Alex Albert. I would say that is well and truly within the draft range, as Dustin Hall in the lead puts a tyre off into the grass just a little bit to give it some excitement, give it some flair, give it some spice. But Yeah, certainly I would say that Max Lupf has been closing in on them. There's a bit of traffic in front that it also presents an opportunity for Lupf to close in on the lead of this race. And I think give it one more lap and we might well have a 3-car battle for the lead. It's the number 7 of Greg Platt that Justin Hall is going to try and work its way around. Again, that's helped Lupf.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're looking for. Well, good luck, but at the same time, you have to put yourself in position to be lucky. Let's see if he can make it cleanly. Yeah, and Greg gives them lots of room there. Good driving from Greg, being situationally aware, knowing where the leaders are at. And Justin Hall actually took a real wide line through there. I know there's an off track if he goes up there. I wonder if he managed to actually catch the slowdown with how wide he got out there. Yeah, he sort of hasn't lifted yet, but
I don't think there's one on the outside there. I don't think there's a slowdown. Even if you cut across the grass there, you're still fine. And off track is possible, so you can't do it in qualifying. But in the race conditions, I think you get away with that. The two of them to the inside of the inner loop here on, I think that might be David Warden potentially, but Lupfard not quite as lucky. It's now 1.7 seconds off the lead, but there's still laps, there's still time. But certainly, the first and second together means the minute Justin Hall opens the door, Alex Albert steps through on the traffic as well.
Yeah, and there's only going to be more lap traffic as they get down towards the end of this race. Max Lupfa has to make more evasive maneuvers there as he dodges the pins on again, lapping him for, I believe,
the second the lead. Hall went wide in the laces and has let Alex Albert back through into the lead. If there was fuel concerns, maybe. Albert spent a couple of laps in that tow, not stepping out of the slipstream. So now, though, he goes back to the race lead. 1.6 seconds from Hall to Lupfa.
Just keeping an eye on the gaps here. Remember when I said John D. Allen was a minute behind? He's 28 seconds behind the leader. So I'm not sure he's going to have enough time to get all the way back up to the front, but he is taking big chunks out of these guys that are ahead of him.
He's about to get 7th place Andrew Archer as well. So bit unseen, but a hero recovery drive there from John D. Allen. Massively fast in this car. He would be, you would assume, in the lead by 30 seconds or more at this point with the kind of pace he's put in and how he just waltzed away from the field at the start before mystery problems that we are yet to put our investigator coat on and figure out. But I'm calling this a 3-car battle for the lead of the race now as Hall goes wide once again, really struggling through turn 1. You can use all of that paved runoff there, and drivers regularly do, but once you get out there, the car doesn't want to turn quite as much.
Ooh, Danny Robinson got spooked when Alex Albert went inside of him there, and that's a fast section on the track, but certainly caused him to jump up out of the groove, and that looked a little bit dangerous. But it does show that the gap Alex is beginning to build up here is becoming pretty substantial. Ooh, and there's a car rejoining on the left-hand side here. Hopefully he does it safely. Yeah, and that was Scott Grinnell recovering from an off going into the chicane there. Now, I don't want to neglect our guys further down the field here, so I was just looking at the battle between John Hurley and Bradley Daly, cars 43 and 45, as John Hurley has a little lockup going in the corner there, gives Bradley Daly a little shot to look back up at the inside. These guys have been going real hard the whole way through as we've been watching the leaders, and they're about to catch that same group of lap traffic that our leaders just had to go through. Simon Follweather makes a dive down the inside of Bradley Daly there. That was nearly a calamity.
Yeah, not stick though as they come up the hill towards the heel. So we've got 3 cars battling for first, got 3 cars battling for 4th. John D. Allen's just worked his way past Andrew Archer in 7th. Then also a 3-car pack, 4 cars, Elazar Mann, Jason Fianek, David Marcus, Kevin Binkley. David Marcus, again, also a driver who got tapped in turn 1 and has been trying to recover from that since.
Yeah, and he's had a really good qualifying lap. I don't believe we've seen him out yet to ChampCar Series. I think this might be his first one yet, but weren't you saying you knew a little bit about him? You'd heard the name before?
Well, Justin Hall, who's running in second, was telling me that he was aware of David Marcus as a Florida and potentially national autocross champ in some division of some sort. I'm not particularly familiar with autocross classing, if I'm honest with you, but he was aware that David Marcus was someone with some pedigree behind the steering wheel.
And that probably explains the responsible choice to lock things down after that turn one spin, for better or for worse, unfortunately for him.
More dramas in the S's. Greg Platt and Simon Foweather. That's a real shame for Foweather, who was right on the pack, 4th, 5th, and 6th. But coming through that traffic, like you mentioned, Simon Foweather has come unstuck.
Oh, yeah. And it looks like Greg Platt was actually just trying to get out of the way of Simon Foweather. And with his eyes on the right-hand mirror, Foweather was unsighted when he came across the track, but that's resulted in Greg Platt getting wrecked along with Danny Robinson, who had to immediately tow after barrel rolling through the S's there. Wow, that was quite an impact.
Yeah, so Foweather's dropped back a couple spots here, elevates John D. Allen into 6th, Andrew Archer gets 7th, but yeah, Simon Foweather picked up a bit of damage from that. He's going to try and limp it home, only probably 3 more laps at this point. But yeah, the traffic was going a bit too wide there, and Foweather picked a line. Unfortunately, he might have picked wrong.
Yeah, and I don't know if you caught it during our replay there, but John D. Allen came flying by as Foweather was picking up the pieces. So another spot for him, and that puts him up to 6th place now.
Well, at the lead, the top 3 are covered by underneath a second, as it looks like 3 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line this time. Albert leads Hall, leads Lutfer, and when it comes to putting in, 1 or 2 quick laps, Max Lutfer has certainly had speed here. He's closed in on these other drivers. And this could be an interesting finish.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what his tires have after that sort of heroic effort to climb back into the draft with these guys. He's gotten close, but he hasn't seemed to get right up in there, which also makes me wonder if his fuel calculations were done assuming he'd have a little bit more draft than he did. He might be hanging back and just waiting for the final moment to try and leap out ahead of these guys for fear of running out of fuel. He did have a pretty long pit stop, though, so you got to think that wouldn't be the case.
Certainly not going to hurt to spend a lap or 2 right now, cooling off the tires a little bit, not overdriving the car and making sure your fuel is right. Because I think if you're going to make a move, are you going to want to make it up the hill on the final lap? I'm not sure you want to be leading before that, with how strong we've seen it can be. And how much is Justin Hall going to play rear gunner here as well? I genuinely don't know the answer to that one.
Me either. I mean, Justin Hall has his own championship considerations to make too, because he and Max Lufa, Justin Hall's in 7th, Max Lufa in 9th, so both of these guys are battling for position as well. Not just in the race, in the points, it's on the season, I mean.
Yeah, that they are going to be a little bit more traffic in the closing laps here as we're within 5 minutes to go. Justin Hall puts the tyres off the circuit there in his favourite place that we've seen him do a couple times. That's paved now, so maybe that will change on iRacing soon. TM. Alex Albert's going to try and negotiate the 71 car of Ernesto Carrioza, who gets all the way out of the way of our leading 3. I'm not sure by design or by accident, but Justin Hall and Max Lutfer, I'm sure, are happy with that.
Yeah, you appreciate it, you just don't know. You appreciate it, you just don't know if race control is going to love it. Andrew Archer.
Turn 1.
Oh, go ahead.
Hall with a big wiggle and then across the grass again. He's now 8 tenths behind the lead, and I think Max Lupfer has run out of patience, going to try and take it side by side up the S's. You can do that in these cars. There's other cars you can't get away with that, but it's really going to matter side by side here who gets the slipstream from Alex Albert. And I think Albert might look in his mirrors and tow Justin Hall along here. And that'll hurt Lupfer because he won't be close enough to the lead. So they're going to go side by side into the inner loop there, and Justin Hall throws it in, maybe a little too hot, skips it across the grass, and Max Lupfer is up into second with 1.5 laps to go.
And his eyes on the leader there. Oh man, you could tell that was going to be exciting, but a real clean over-under move there by Max Lupfer. Anticipates Justin Hall going a little bit deep and just patiently waits for him to slide wide and then sneaks right underneath him. And now he'll have less than a second, less than half a second between him and Alex Albert as they come around through the last few corners before the white flag.
Yep, about 6 tenths the gap. Lupfer looking like he's got a little bit more grip underneath him at this point than Albert, and Albert no longer has a rear gunner. So this is going to be an exciting final lap. I don't think it's a must-win race for either of these drivers, but you always want to win. That's kind of what makes races races. So I think this is going to be interesting for the final lap here. 5 tenths. Here's the gap, and Justin Hall is far enough back that he's kind of out of the picture for this one unless something drastic happens, which you can never count out.
And I'll be keeping an eye on Simon Fowler and Andrew Archer as they're battling for 7th and 8th place. Looks like the rest of the top 5 is more or less settled.
So here we go on to the start-finish straight. There's one lapped car in front of our leaders. That's going to be of concern for Alex Albert. To turn 1, track drops away and you want to use a little bit of that banking if you can. Clean and tidy line from first and second. Now Alex Albert is looking, how is he going to get past here? And I think he's going to get let by, as to will Max Lupfer. Very, very important, because this is probably Lupfer's biggest opportunity, as he's going to slot into the slipstream of Alex Albert. Don't think he's close enough to make the move into the inner loop, but he's definitely closing it up. More speed for him. So the inner loop here is where Lupfer's looked pretty strong. Good line through there. He's picks up a couple more car lengths once again to the carousel. Tidier line again from Max Lupfer. So when the pressure matters, he's doing what he needs to. Not overdriving the car, but certainly getting the speed where he needs. And again, through the laces, he's a little tidier. My laces are never that tidy. 3 tenths the gap, first and second. Only a couple corners to go on the final lap from here at Watkins Glen. And again, those front tires have been worn down and they're hurting for Alex Albert. There is no car lengths to it. This is bumper to bumper. Lupfer might have a better run up the hill. Alex Albert to the right-hand side of the racetrack, to the grass, maybe trying to defend that. Now he's middle of the road. Lupfer isn't close enough for a dive, so they swap back across to the racing line, and Albert again in deep, struggling with the grip on the front tires, but just parking the car in the right places because he doesn't want to give up a potential race win that would help seal his ascent towards the championship. Really only one braking zone to go. This will be a real tough ask for Lupfer to get around Alex Albert. They're flat out through here in these cars, and then the final corner, Lupfer is attacking, but he's not close enough. He needs a mistake from Albert. Albert just needs to keep it tidy. The flagman has the checkered flag, and there's no way that Alex Albert can lose this one now. He wins from Watkins Glen. Lupfer gave him a fantastic battle, made him work for it on the final lap, and Justin Hall completes the podium. Devin, where are your eyes on the final lap?
Simon Fowler and Andrew Archer have been having a great battle all the way through this final lap. It looks like Fowler is going to be able to hold off Andrew Archer unless Archer makes some sort of move into the final corner here. Yeah, mirror image of our front two, but these two were swapping places all the way down. John D. Allen managed to make his drive all the way back up to 6th, and you can see him crossing the line in the horizon ahead. Simon Foto is just going to finish 7th with Andrew Archer in 8th. Nicholas Love is finishing 9th behind them, and Paul T. Roddy, after that unfortunate incident on the first half of the race, has managed to keep things clean for the rest of it. He's going to finish 10th place. So really strong efforts from all of our drivers today, especially those top few. And I'd also like to call out our hard charge of the race. As predicted at the halfway point, Elzar Mann made his argument for that award, finishing 20 places better than his starting position. So going from 34th all the way up to 14th place. Great job, Elzar.
Also looking, Michael Lawson, the number 72, has David Marcus behind him. We know Marcus was rapid in qualifying, has had to make 2 pit stops in this race, and is now trying to grab a position on the final lap. But again, it's just not the key overtaking opportunity into the final corner here. Lawson is probably going to hold off Marcus. They've got Palermo and Kowalczyk battling for positions in front of them as well. So these 4 cars are going to come across the line here in their battle for 20th place.
Draft. Oh, that was
not
close.
enough of a slipstream for David Marcus there to grab the position away from Lawson, though. We've only got 2 more cars left on the lead lap there. Andrew Shembry with the... has he been racing with Senders Local Union in the endurance events, I think? And Matthew Charles.
Absolutely. And looking at it from points consideration, of course, Alex Albert, our current point leader, has now added another win to his trophy case. Justin Hall and Max Lupfa, 7th and 9th in the points. Bradley Daly, who finished 5th place overall, is currently 10th in the points and will be satisfied with that points winning position. Nicholas Love is 8th in the points, finished 9th in the race, and that's another solid haul for him. Unfortunately for Kevin Binkley, after a strong qualifying effort, he dropped all the way down to 16th place and had some unfortunate issues. I believe he had to get that early stop. So his third place, or his gap from third place in the points to Alex's first place in the points, is going to grow even larger after today.
So the finishing order, Albert, your winner, ahead of Lupfa and Justin Hall. John Hurley in 4th, Bradley Daly with 5th place, John D. Allen 6th place and the fastest lap. I've just heard the dramas for him was a water leak at home, dripping water from the ceiling onto his PC, which I know where is in his basement. So that was the dramas there for John D. Allen, a water leak, which he managed to fix, managed to get back out, but it did cost him a chunk of time there. Simon Foer, the 7th, Andrew Archer in 8th, and then Nicholas Love got 9th place, and Paul T. Roddy finished up the top 10. I'll run through 10 more here with Jacob Hiller then in 11th, Sean Saputra, another Love Racing driver, in 12th, Matthew Thompson in 13th, Alazar Mann 14th, Jay Safianek in 15th place there, Kevin Binkley finished 16th, and Thomas McGinn in 17th, Brandon Thompson in 18th. It's not the same club as Matthew Thompson, so it's a common family name. Shane Cameron there 19th, David Palermo rounding out the top 20. Devon, we've got some chaps to come have a word with, and I think we absolutely have to start with race winner Alex Albert. I've spoken to him many times before. Devon, this time the honor is yours.
Oh, lucky me. Congratulations, Alex. That was a great race. And looked like you were maybe putting a little bit of strategy into play there as we watched the first stint.
Yeah, so once I didn't get a great qualifying effort today, and the start was a bit hectic. So we were 3 wide, tried to back out of that, get out of the mess in turn 1, lost a few spots. So by the time I got up to the front of the pack, John was just too far ahead. I tried to make a run for it, just couldn't break the draft, so I decided it'd be more strategic to fall back, get with those guys, save fuel, and take a shorter stop at the end, or at the midway point. And, that's what we did. But yeah, Max was still able to catch up, so it was a really exciting race.
And a big race for you too, from the points perspective. That's your 4th race win of the season. How are you feeling about that?
Oh yeah, we always love to be in victory lane. It's our favorite place here at the racetrack. So it's good to get another win for all the huge ass guys and all the guys back at the shop. Appreciate all the hard work they put in.
Mm-hmm. And did you think that Justin Hall was going to have anything for you as he chased his way back up to you in that final stint there?
Yeah, Justin and I were working together. We knew each other's fuel situation. We were trying to get the best overall finish that we could for Team Huge Ass. Looked like he just made a mistake there in the bus stop with Max. Ran a bit wide, got a slow down, and that was sort of the end of his race. But our plan was to try to work together and finish 1-2 in either order, but just didn't quite work out.
Yeah, great job, man. That was a real awesome race.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
Anyone you'd like to shout out today?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to my mom. Mother's Day was a couple weeks ago, but Mom, if you're watching, love you and hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. Haynes, you've managed to find anyone else while I've been interviewing Alex?
Yeah, we've got a full contingent of our podium to speak with, which is always fantastic. And of course, next step was Max Lutfer, and great pace in the final half of the race. A little bit of variability to the track temperature out there. What was the secret to the speed in the second half? Fuel or tire management, or do you just always had that pace?
I think a little bit of it was tire management. I thankfully had a couple well-paced laps early in the stint, just caught up in traffic. But then I just had to hit my marks lap after lap in order to catch up to both Justin and Alex. I mean, those two were working together really well. I think Justin was trying to help Alex out a little bit on fuel. So I just had to try my best to run down that 3-second gap.
How was that fuel situation? A little bit of variability again to the pit stop times. Looks like you took 4 seconds more fuel than Alex. Would you do that again? Was that how much you needed?
I took about 2 liters too much, and that's mostly down to when crew chief tells me a certain number, I always like to just give it a little notch up from that just to be safe in case it doesn't time the lap right. So say we come down to the final lap with 10 seconds left, it will make us go around one more time. So I just always wanted to protect for that. But I'd maybe take a liter less, but I was pretty happy with my fuel call.
Well, you brought the action and the drama in the last half of the race, which we love up here. At what point did you think the race win became possible? And what point did you realize it was maybe a bit too late?
I think it was possible as soon as I got within a second of those two guys, because I knew the draft would help catch me up to them a lot quicker. Although then I got hung out by a lap down car going through the bus stop, and I dropped back to 2 seconds again, so I had to work a little bit more. But once you're within a second, I mean, you can make 1 or 2 moves a lap, and if they both stick, then within a lap you can be in the lead. So, I mean, anywhere all the way down to that final lap, there was a chance.
Well, congrats standing on the podium, picking up some points and having your participation counted. Hopefully we're going to see you again in the remaining races of the championship. Anyone you need to thank?
Just want to say that hopefully when all this coronavirus blows over, we'll be back racing. I'll be hopefully maybe having a chance to come out and race with the ChampCar series using maybe some prize money.
Yeah,
That's
man.
always the goal.
We look forward to seeing you out there.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Devin, we've also got 3rd place finisher Justin Hall. And again, this one's for you.
Thank you. How's it going, Justin? Great race.
Hey, thanks, Devin. It's going pretty good. How about yourself?
All pretty good. We got to enjoy watching you and Alex run together. Was that a deliberate strategy, you two working together in the second half there?
Yeah, pretty much. Trying to help each other out and clear the gap to Max, which was working for a little bit until the last 2 laps. He was fighting like crazy and caught back up.
Yeah, and then it looked like you and Max had a pretty tight battle there for second place.
Yeah, I kind of messed up turn one. I mean, every single lap almost I was going way too wide, and so he got a run going to the bus stop. It's taking me a little bit too wide, and I kind of got spooked, late on the brakes, and caught a slowdown at the end, and that was kind of the end of my battle.
That's a real bummer. We were cheering you on up here in the booth after your guys' efforts to fuel save. It looked like in that second half of the race there.
Yeah, much appreciated. It's that's pretty much it. We were trying to save fuel in the first half, and then in the second half, Alex wasn't sure if he took enough, so I was just kind of trying to help him out, and like I said, get that good gap to third place.
Well, it's not all bad news. At least after this race, it looks like you've made a pretty big move in the points, going from seventh place, I believe, up to fourth now.
Woohoo! Nice. Yeah, I think this is my highest point finish yet in one of the main races.
Yeah, and a great effort indeed. Good job, man. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out? Any sponsors?
Thanks, man. Yeah, got to give a shout out to my girlfriend for letting me do this, and of course, shout out to Team Huge Ass for getting the car ready, and of course, all you guys for putting this on and making everything run smooth.
Thank you very much. I'll have to put that shout out the girlfriend trick into my back pocket. That's a good one.
Yeah, man, you got to do it, especially when she's in the room.
Take care, man.
Thanks, you guys too.
Well, Devin, there we go. Our podium finishes from today at Watkins Glen, and they put on a race all race long. I think that's what everyone loves about Miata racing and about Watkins Glen, because it's a great track. That is everything from us here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. You're going to hear from us next this weekend for the ChampCar iRacing special event, 7 hours of Watkins Glen. Like we say, that one's going to be broadcast on our HJ channels and also on ChampCar Live, so you can pick up and tune into that one wherever it suits your fancy. Sign-ups are still open if you want to get your team in for that one at forum.champcar.org. That's what's up next. That's going to be a fantastic event with another great variety of cars and classes for the ChampCar iRacing series. Our next event, our next championship round is 10th of June from COTA, again in this Miata NC Cup car. Looking forward to that one as well, as that kind of takes us to the halfway point of the championship, and it can only get more exciting from there. So our producer has been the tireless Michael Derby. I've had Devin Peters with me, and myself, David Haynes. It's been a delight to have your company. Hopefully we catch you again this weekend. Goodbye.